Picture this. You're cast in a Marvel movie. You're John frickin' Malkovich. You've got a villain monologue, a Cold War backstory, and super-powered apes. You film your scenes, bring the gravitas, and then nothing. Your character gets cut, your scenes are unfinished, and your big MCU debut becomes a ghost story. This isn't fan fiction. This is what actually happened behind the scenes of Fantastic Four First Steps, Marvel's long-awaited reboot of one of the oldest and most notoriously mishandled franchises. From director swaps to deleted villains, today we're diving deep into the weird, winding journey of a film that was supposed to usher in the new era for Marvel's first family, but might just be remembered for what didn't make it to screen. Hey guys, my name is Cass and I'm the host of Scripts Beyond, where I don't just talk about what happened on camera, I tell the stories behind it. Let's be honest, the Fantastic Four haven't exactly had a smooth cinematic ride since their first big screen debut in 2005, and let's not even talk about the unreleased 1994 version, unless we're doing a full cringe episode. The Fantastic Four have gone from beloved comic royalty to cinematic punchline. So when Marvel Studios finally reclaimed the rights from 20th Century Fox and announced a new reboot under Kevin Feige's umbrella, expectations were sky high and cautiously optimistic. Could Marvel finally get it right? Initially, things looked promising. Jon Watts, who directed the Spider-Man Homecoming trilogy, was tapped to direct. Fans were excited. Watts had a proven track record of balancing humor, heart, and spectacle. But in 2022, Watts dropped out, citing a need for a superhero break. That's when Matt Shakman entered the chat. Shakman, who just earned praise for helming WandaVision, brought a new vision. Something more stylized, character-driven, and era-bending. He pitched a 60s retro-futuristic world with a modern Marvel spectacle. The reboot had a new direction, a new cast, and apparently a new, well, old ghost. The casting of John Malkovich as Ivan Kragoff, aka the Red Ghost, was kind of a bold move that got fans buzzing. Malkovich has long been the kind of actor who brings weight, unpredictability, and a bit of menace to his roles. The idea of him as a Soviet-era scientist turned phasing villain who commands telepathic apes no less felt weird, but in the best way. And according to reports, he filmed scenes, multiple scenes, an entire introductory sequence that would have kicked off the movie with flair. But as Matt Shakman later confirmed, none of it made the final cut. In an interview with Variety, Shakman says, cutting Malkovich's scene was necessary to deliver the best possible final cut. There was a lot of stuff to balance in the movie, and some things had to go. John is one of my favorite humans and one of my biggest inspirations. It was heartbreaking not to include him. The reason for this big cut? They say it wasn't studio politics or Malkovich walking off set. It came down to something much more modern and mundane: visual effects deadlines. They ran out of time. The visual effects weren't ready. The story had to move on, and so Malkovich's entire arc, his big Marvel debut, was quietly deleted. But it doesn't just end with the dramatic edit. In an era where director's cuts, extended editions, and alternate versions are all the rage, Shakman shut the door hard on any future Malkovich resurrection. His response to the possibility of a future version of the film that might include the Red Ghost material was a firm no. Not because of studio pressure, not because of NDA handcuffs, but because the scenes weren't finished. When pressed by Elite Daily if the director's cut would be in the works, Shakman replied, "There are so many visual effects involved that those scenes remain unfinished, so that's not possible." With the visual effects never being completed, it seems that releasing those scenes now would feel rushed, incomplete, and out of step with the film's finished tone. Some fans couldn't help but mourn what might have been. One Redditor dubbed the deleted Malkovich scenes the MCU lost tapes, while others begged for behind-the-scenes documentary to at least see the storyboards. Others respected the decision. On forums and fan pages, the consensus was that while Malkovich would have been a killer villain, the film didn't suffer narratively by losing him. It kept the story centered on the main four: their origin, and their emotional arcs. That said, we're all still a little curious, Marvel. Just saying. While Malkovich's ghostly villain was phased out, one thing the filmmakers kept very tangible was Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. Unlike previous versions where The Thing was a rubber suit, 2005, or pure CGI, 2015, Shakman's team went practical. Actor and pro wrestler Richard Summers Calvert wore a custom-designed prosthetic suit on set, not just dots and spandex, allowing other actors to perform scenes with an actual physical presence in front of them. It's kind of an old-school approach Marvel rarely uses anymore. Some even compared the suit to Guillermo del Toro's creature work, or early Sam Raimi Spider-Man suit designs. Tactile, gritty, and grounded. The attention to practical effect didn't just stop with The Thing. Set designs reflected Shakman's vision of the 1960s meets futurism aesthetic. Everything from Reed's lab to the interior of the Baxter building was crafted with a blend of retro textures and sci-fi gloss. Think Jetsons meets NASA. It gave the film a distinct identity, one that helped differentiate it from previous versions, and from the rest of the increasingly CGI-drenched MCU. So where does this Fantastic Four first step stand among the reboot graveyard? Surprisingly, it's one of the few that seems to have stuck the landing. Critics praise the tone, a blend of humor, sciencey weirdness, and emotional sincerity. The cast had chemistry, the visuals popped, and for once, Marvel didn't overload the plot with multiverse shenanigans. Thank you. But what really made it stand out? It felt different. From practical effects to the character-driven script to the bold and sometimes painful editing decisions, it wasn't just another superhero movie. It was a story about family, a dysfunctional, brilliant, cosmically altered family finding their place in a weird, dangerous universe. The Red Ghost didn't make it, but the Fantastic Four finally did. Was cutting Malkovich the right move? Should Marvel release those unfinished scenes? Let us know your thoughts down below. Hit that like button if you're into behind-the-scenes happenings, and subscribe for more stories that go beyond the credits. My name is Cass, and I'll see you in the next video.